Hi everyone! Thank you for joining the Pioneer Library System today while we're closed. This video will teach you how to start knitting, and it is intended for adults and teens. So I wanted to share how to begin knitting because it's something that I've really loved being able to do these last few days. It's a great way to still be creative, it feels productive, even when you need to maintain that social distance. And it's pretty easy to get started in, supplies wise. So for this tutorial, all you'll really need is size 5 or bulky/chunky weight yarn, and then size 11 or 8mm needles, US 11 size 8mm. And if you need to acquire those supplies, I know that Joanne is offering curbside pickup for call-in orders right now, the Fabric and Craft store, and then our local yarn store, Yarnatopia, down on Southwestern, is also offering curbside pickup for call-in orders. And you can see all of their inventory online at yarnatopia.com, and you can also order supplies via mail there as well. And they'd love to have you call if you have any questions or anything. So for this project, we're gonna need to cast on 20 stitches to get started. So that's how you get the stitches, your first row of live stitches on your needles. So I'll turn the camera to show you how to do that. Okay, so to cast on our 20 stitches, we're gonna use the long tail cast on, which is a widely used cast on. I have my needle in my right hand and my yarn in my left, and first I need to figure out how long my tail needs to be for that long tail cast on. So to do that, we're gonna leave about 6 inches of yarn, press the yarn against the needle, and then wrap as many stitches as we need in our cast on. So we're gonna wrap about 20 stitches right here. So once you've wrapped about 20 stitches, you're gonna note where that is on your yarn and let the rest of the yarn off the needle unravel. And then that's where you're going to tie your slip knot. So to tie your slip knot, you're going to twist the yarn so that there's a loop right there. And then you're going to put your fingers through and use those to pull whichever strand is underneath the other strand. So we'll do that like so, pull to tighten, and then we're going to put the loop on the yarn or on the needle in such a way that the tail yarn is in front and the working yarn or the yarn attached to the ball is in back. So we'll do that right now. And then pull to tighten. So that's your slip knot. You want it to be snug but still very slidey, very mobile. So then to start the long tail cast on, we're going to use the slingshot method. And that's going to be putting your thumb and forefinger between these strands of yarn and then using your back fingers to grab underneath and then spread those fingers apart and pull your needle down so that it makes this slingshot kind of formation. So then we're going to number these strands, strand 1, strand 2, strand 3, and strand 4. And we're going to go under and around strand 1 with our right needle, under and around strand 3, and then we're going to go between strands 1 and 2 and then pull to tighten. So again, thumb and forefinger between the strands, grab underneath, pull down, slingshot, and then under and around strand 1, under and around strand 3, and then through or down between strands 1 and 2. So then we'll just want to do that until we have a total of 20 stitches on the needle. Okay, so once you have your 20 stitches cast on the needle, move those stitches, or the needle that has those stitches on it, to your left hand, wrap the working yarn around your finger or hold it in such a way that you know where it's at, put this tail far and away so you don't try to start knitting with it. And then you're going to start to knit your first stitch, you're going to put the point of your right hand needle into this loop here, and you're going to go front to back and bottom to top. So we're going to go front to back and then bottom to top so that it goes into that loop right there like so. And then you're going to wrap your working yarn around that back needle, up in between the needles, and then you're going to use the back needle to pull that yarn through that loop on your left needle. And then you're going to take that loop that was on your left needle and slip it off and pull to tighten. And then you're going to do that again with the next stitch. So you're going to go in, front to back, bottom to top, into that second stitch. You're going to want to go up and between the needles. And then you're going to use the right hand needle to pull that working yarn through that loop that's on the left hand needle. And then you're going to use that to drop that left loop off of the old needle. And you're just going to keep going. So you'll knit all the stitches in the row. So when you get to the end of your row and you just have a few more stitches, you'll just knit them as usual. And then after you get that last loop off of your left needle, and now that's the empty needle, you're gonna switch. Put the now full needle in your left hand. Wrap the working yarn around your finger and to the back of the work. And then you're going to just do the same thing. So you're gonna insert your now right hand needle, front to back, bottom to top, wrap around, and keep going. Okay, so when you have as much fabric as you want, and if you work for longer than I did, then you could have a scarf. If you want to bind off when it's about a square, you could have like a little coaster or maybe even a dishcloth if you're working with a hardy yarn. And later in future videos, I'll show you how this can be the center panel of a larger blanket called a log cabin blanket like this one. When you're done though, when you have as much as you need, then we're gonna bind off, which means just binding off all the stitches so that the fabric doesn't unravel. So to do that, we're gonna knit the first 2 stitches like usual. Knit 1, knit 2, and then we're gonna use the left hand needle to take that first stitch and pass it up and over the second and off of the right needle. So we're going to pick up that first knit stitch and pass it over the second stitch on the right hand needle, and then take that first stitch off the needle. And then we're gonna knit 1 more. Use the left hand needle to pull the first stitch up and over the second, and you can also use the right hand needle to kind of pull that second stitch through the first as well. So we'll just keep doing that. You have 1 stitch left on your right hand needle. There we go. Then you have no more stitches on the left, only this one on the right, and you're gonna pull through, make that a big loop, and then cut the working yarn. Keep pulling through, and then you have your piece of fabric, and you can see this fabric is very stretchy, very versatile. And then with these ends, you'll want to either weave them in with a tapestry needle like this one, or with yarn this big, if you cut it kind of short, you could probably do it with your fingers. Just weave it back and forth in through the fabric so that it doesn't come undone, but you don't have the feel of a knot either. Thanks again for joining the Pioneer Library System while we're closed. Please leave any questions or comments you might have, as well as any pictures you have of your projects. Stay tuned for upcoming programming, and if you have any suggestions or requests for videos, please let us know. We'd love to have those. Thanks for watching, and happy knitting!